Hey, how's it going? Michael here. That was a really poor intro. Let's start again. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome into Pro Football Ireland's Week 1 2025 NFL podcast. I cannot believe we're back. Michael McQuaid, Hoagie Bear, and the Cork man himself, Jason Hayes. Lads, let's just start it off while I get this tweet out to the masses. If you're listening in on the audio podcast, you're very, very welcome. We are back. Mark, that was a quick off season.
Yeah, I don't know, did the introductions do justice, just how little you've heard from me and Jason since my last
Oh,
Pro Football
we're going to
Ireland
talk about
podcast.
that.
My
We are
last
going to
Pro
talk about
Football
that.
Ireland podcast was from New Orleans with Charlie Smith standing alongside, and to the back of us was the bunt, or the confetti was still falling from the Super Bowl. I have done podcasts with you, Michael, Jason. I believe you've also done it, but I know we've already new followers in the off season thanks to the Trojan work that yourself and Jeff did, setting up the flagship show, Michael. So hello to all of you. Jason and I do exist.
What podcast did you and Jason do out of interest? Like, Jason, what podcast did you? I'm putting you boys in the spot here. I'm taking the piss. It's good to see you again. What's the crack? Jason, what's the crack?
Very good. Jeez, delighted to be back. I can't believe it's gone so fast, and I am well rested because it's been exact same as Mark. In the Superdome was the last time I was chatting shite with you guys, so it's great to be back.
But you
Great
know
to be
what?
back.
It's the funniest thing, because even like tonight's podcast, or if you're listening to this, the week 1 podcast was already hijacked from a trend that I think we're going to see over the next few weeks. Of course, the Dublin game has been announced. And only earlier today, we got massive details from what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be doing. And I was like, we did not intend on touching on the Dublin game at all this week. But it's like, I just think we're going to keep on getting more and more announcements. Yesterday, being Tuesday, you had Lyra and Miles Smith announced for the halftime show. And it's like, when we are an Irish NFL podcast and we have to focus on these things, don't get me wrong, I cannot wait to talk football. But all these things just keep on hitting us. It's like, we did not know, honest to God, Michael, did not we not know that Miles Smith was playing it? It just like drops in your email all of a sudden.
It's been. Let me just read out something first, and we'll have a deep discussion on that. Mark, maybe bring your head down a wee bit high, just a wee bit for people
I'm
watching.
struggling over here. If you're looking at the video, it's like the seat needs to go down.
Now, what I will say is, look, obviously a big welcome to people. I know people are watching live, listening back in their cars on the way to work Thursday, Friday morning. The NFL's back, baby. And let me be very, very clear. This is the 4th year of this. I appreciate you boys, appreciate all the lads, college lads, Connor, Jacob, everybody that takes time to do this. People do this for the love of the game. So I'm going to say this once and once only. We really are very, very clean cut on who we work with. We had the pleasure of working with 8 Sport among the different companies over the last few years. And this year we have decided to partner with a company called SBK, who are a sportsbook. And I know for some people, they love fantasy football, they love gambling. You know, who doesn't in that sense? But certainly for us, it was a natural fit because they're a betting brand with no bull, lads. No casino, no roulette, just sports betting. And honestly, and we've heard it from some of the lads in group chats this week, they have some of the best odds around. So just to celebrate the return of the football season, there is going to be a free NFL bet builder every Sunday in September. Check that out in our social channels and check the link in the bio on this podcast for more information. The last thing I will say is I've been very, very impressed with them so far. Their commitment, it gets us through the season. And if you're on our Twitter account or on our X account, there is a post right now where you can win a jersey. So if you sign up, click the link, and you place your slip in the replies, you might win a jersey. That closes, I believe, on Tuesday evening. All the terms and conditions are in the bottom of this podcast. Mark, this sort of stuff gets us through the season. This is not an advertisement rate. We need the help, the support we get, and the help and support, Mark, that we have got from the people across the island of Ireland over the last, not just 4 years, but over the last 5, 6, 7 years has been immense.
Yeah, do you know, it's kind of a funny one to talk about because, like, yeah, that sponsorship gets us places. Like, literally, it gets us places, and we're obviously extremely grateful when someone like that comes on board. Because, hey, you go start a podcast right now and see if you're able to get sponsorship to come in. It's an extremely difficult thing to do, and for anyone at all to take a punt on you and say, you know what, you're worth our time. I mean, look, if we could have Marks and Spencers, or sorry, you know, I'll actually mention Irish brands like Dunn Stores or SuperValue sponsoring us, we'd absolutely love that. But those guys still don't want us. So look, we take great pleasure and pride, and we hear when people say that Pro Football Ireland has been huge in growing the American football fan base over here. We take that great pride, but that does come at the cost of, we are sponsored by a betting company this year, again, because they've taken a punt on us, and we have to be grateful for that. So again, I understand 100% that people sometimes don't like betting, but for us, it is not just a means to an end, but it's something that we have to take pride in too. Michael, I see your lips are moving, but I cannot quite hear you.
I'm muted. Well done. Thank you very much. I was saying it's a natural fit. And Jason, I actually recorded the podcast already with Jeff for this. And a lot of it is going to come into week 1 selections, week 2 selections, with Jeff and ourselves. But I think it's a natural fit from speaking to Alex and the team. I just want to pass on our thanks publicly. And I know that people have jumped on it already. So, folks, we really, really do appreciate it. It makes a huge difference to us. And just a massive thanks to SBK for their support. We're going to see a lot of that this season. And the branding fits in. Jason, any tickets for this game? Let's just cut the crap. Any tickets?
Absolutely. I
How many have you got?
I've got tickets for myself. I don't have tickets to give away. Michael has all the tickets to give away. But no, I was absolutely... I was one of those people in the queue for how many hours? I don't know. But it felt like an eternity when there's such a precious goal at the end of it. I can't believe it's September. I mean, 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks now. Even just for the Monday leading up to the game, I can't wait to just be in Dublin, feel the buzz. We're well used to the college game now, and we know what it's like. I think this is going to be that on steroids. It's going to be immense.
Mark, just on the game itself, we'll talk about it. So I'll get in trouble. I'll put myself in front of this. I did not set the ticket prices. I did not decide to not put the Hill on sale at the same time. I don't have any tickets. I'm just really, really grateful. And it's incredible. And everybody listening to this, everybody sharing stuff, watching stuff, it makes a huge difference, Mark. But I just can't believe we're a few weeks out from, it says here at the bottom, on the brink of a historic year. Like, this is going to be epic. We're going to an event tomorrow, which is going to be cool as well. So there's fun stuff happening every week. I believe a Steelers store is opening in Dublin tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. I see also we're getting some comments in on the different platforms, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and that, so shout out or whatever. I wish we could almost aggregate those contents sometimes or whatever. But no, you're dead right. There is so much, and I suppose this is like housekeeping because we are back for the first time doing the podcast together. But there is just so much exciting stuff coming our way that we didn't even intend to talk about the game in the way that we have. So I actually forget the question that you're even asking, Michael. Apologies. Can you ask it again?
I guess what I was saying is we didn't select the ticket prices.
Oh yeah,
or anything, but I'm certainly, Mark. I'm certainly blown away, and I know you're blown away by the amount of 600,000 people plus the
and look, we've been trying to, like, don't get me wrong, I sometimes am useless for the DMs because one, you get a ton of spam. Sometimes you get hateful, more often than not, you get hateful comments. And now, I mean, they come, but it's like when we recognize the names, sometimes we're able to get back whatever. We tried our best to let people know when the Hill was on sale. We just couldn't get it. Our own thoughts were maybe Robbie Williams had to perform first, and then the NFL was able to go in and actually see. But anyway, I hope everyone got into the ballot. And talking about one of those comments, I remember someone commenting underneath when I said it was a great day. Just like Jason, just like you, Michael, we all queued up to get our own tickets. It was all honestly done. And I hope that everyone, and I know we've seen so many people that listen to this podcast that did not get the tickets. So I know it's very tough when we're harping on about our excitement and stuff. But like that, the Steelers have announced a week of activities in Dublin. I presume, Michael, I'm sure you've seen the comments as well yourself, and maybe Jason. People are asking, is there going to be stuff outside of Dublin? Look, first and foremost, they're going to announce Dublin because that is where the game is. I'm sure they'll try to spread the love around the island as much as they can. I believe there is things that will be happening that we're not going to talk about now today. That's what I'm saying. There's exciting things to be announced. The most exciting, let's be honest, are going to be in Dublin. And even if you look through the press release that was put out today, there's going to be, if you haven't got a ticket, there's a Merrion Square, there's going to be a fan zone there, or you can obviously watch it in the team bar. And I think we can talk about, obviously, Rob Mahon from Jeremans has announced that the Jeremans will be the Minnesota Vikings bar. That was already out in their socials, so we can talk about it now. So there is plenty of stuff going on in Dublin if you're unlucky enough to get a ticket, obviously.
Yeah, we're not officially affiliated by the NFL, so if anybody did hear that Vikings news, it's all on Hogan. And in terms
he announced it himself, by the way. Excuse me, I'm not breaking that. He announced that himself.
In terms of just finally on this, because we are going to get into the week 1 action here, lads, in terms of the slate, but there are, like, I the first comment I see on your own was about Newry, stuff like that. There is stuff happening at maybe smaller scales and stuff. Just look, there's a lot going on. There is. I'm finding out stuff every minute, every day at the minute. And I want to just publicly thank people for DMing, for texting. I got love. I got a lot of hate in the middle of June, and do you know what, lads? Isn't it great crack? It's not like it's just good fun. I really appreciate everybody's comments. A lot of people now, and that's one thing I will just say finally. A lot of people during the college game weekend, which was fantastic, and thanks to them as well. What a brilliant weekend that was. It's just asking about having good tickets. My advice to you is don't put your head in the sand and don't give up. Wait, I went on that website the other day and I seen tickets, albeit there was one seat in one row, one seat in the other row, right beside each other. Just keep refreshing. Get ready to pay whatever it costs. I mean, that's the reality of it, and just keep going from there. I think it's time to talk about the football, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, please.
I think it is. And look, and again, thanks for everybody for the support. We're so excited to get through. Please God, touch wood. Right here to Santa Clara for the Super Bowl this year, and again a big thanks to SBK. If you do use it, folks, please use the link in our bio or the link in our link tree. It makes a huge difference. Jason, we have an absolute banger of a game coming up on Sunday night, and before we talk about the game, I do want to say one thing. We obviously see the Sky Sports deal being renewed, but again, I have to give, if you tell by the accent here, lads, fans up north, fans in Northern Ireland can watch this game on Sunday night on Channel 5 for free, lads. I'm buzzing. I have somebody that is streaming stuff at the minute. I'm going to be watching Channel 5, or I think it's 5 Action on Sunday night, so I'm definitely excited for that. Jason, our partners SBK, in terms of the Lions-Packers game, a lot to talk about. Lions are rank outsiders, just a little bit in terms of the handicap of SBK. The spread is 3 points in favour of the Packers. I believe on this podcast you're going to go in depth, as you will, on the Lions offense.
Yeah, I think that's probably why the Lions are underdogs in this game, is because of that massive question mark that's been talked about all off-season, and that is Lions fans in fear all off-season. I don't know if you guys are the same, but every time I talk to a Lions fan, they think their time is come and gone already because Ben Johnson is now gone. And that's the obvious thing on everyone's mind when you see the Lions. And until his replacement, John Morton, comes in and proves himself, then those questions are going to be there. And what a place he has to do that. Lambeau Field, a motivated Micah Parsons on the other side of the ball. You couldn't script it in terms of a debut and trying to prove himself. What we do know is that, starting with offensive coordinator John Morton, he was a man in demand. It's not like they were just stuck with him. Ben Johnson wanted to take him to Chicago, and I'm sure there's a few other teams that were in there as well. So we do have to just give him a chance, see what he can do. By all accounts, over the offseason in the media, he's been telling people he's not going to change much. And why would he change much with the way the team was playing last season? And there hasn't been much turnover on that side of the ball either. So if you look at the 11 players last year, 9 of them are coming back this year in terms of offensive starters. The only turnover is a couple of interior guys who are good, likes of Frank Naragno, the centre, he's gone. So it's looking like Glasgow is going to come in there. But again, decent guys stepping in, and with how strong they were last year, I think they can afford that minimal turnover. They've kept some of the key pieces. This is it is the same team, and that team last year went on a historic run. And it all started up front. The Lions ranked number 2 on the ground in DVOA, if that's a statistic you like to look at, with Sonic and Knuckles, Gibbs and Montgomery, such a fun backfield to watch. They've got the speed, they've got the power. I really like the Lions in terms of running up the middle with that power run game. They were top of the league last year, averaging 5.6 yards per carry, and that's obviously helped with the strong offensive line led by the likes of Penei Sewell. What else does a strong run game allow you to do? It allows you to call more play action, and that's also something we saw Lions lean into heavily last year with the likes of Jared Goff throwing. I believe he was top of the league. Play action rate was up at 35%. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown to work with. Sam Laporta kind of regressed a bit last year, but he's going to be back, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't take another jump forward. Jameson Williams down the field. It's a very scary passing attack, especially when it's paired with that formidable ground game. And when you combine them, it's a team that managed to punch the ball in the end zone every time they managed to find their way down that side of the field. In terms of, I know one of you guys are going to mention the Packers defense in a while, but in terms of that matchup, I think, unfortunately for the Packers, the Lions do stack up well against them right now. And it is in large part due to that run game and that run game up the middle. Green Bay, obviously, they brought in Micah Parsons, and he's by no means a slouch when it comes to stopping the run. But they've lost Kenny Clark, lost a couple other interior guys, a few young guys in there holding down the fort in terms of stopping the run. I really like this Lions run game to get the job done in Lambeau Field.
We've actually got a question as well, lads. If anybody wants to jump in here, shout out to everybody watching live. I do want to just quickly, because we do appreciate people answering questions live and asking questions live. Jared Mullen says, how do we think Hutchinson bounced back? I think he, if I'm Hutchinson, I'm looking at the whole Micah Parsons, or Michael Parsons, as some old people like to call him, thinking, I'm going to go out and have a baller of a game, man. I'm going to absolutely stomp Jordan Love in this Packers offense. Are you going to talk about the Packers offense, Hoagie Bear?
Yeah, do you know what? It's funny because I feel like I'm taking the same thread as Jason over there when you're kind of looking at the play. I feel like this week we're talking more like macro football. The granular will come as we start to figure out these teams a little bit more.
Granular. Look at you, man. Mr. I'm on the radio. Granular. Yeah. I love it.
Sorry, also I'm sure someone, at least one person, is getting enjoyment for this falling microphone. Michael, what have you done to me by lowering me down 1 inch? I'll tell you a story with my microphone. I came in after a few jars one time and fell on top of my microphone stand, so it is now very precariously balanced so that I can have it between like my nose and my eyes on the screen right now. You've asked me to move, Michael, and now I spent more time paying attention to where this thing falls than Jason there. But now when I'm listening there and when you talk about Aiden Hutchinson, I suppose I'm looking at the Packers offense, and Dara Carragher had a tweet that I brought up on this podcast week 1 last year, and it was that he put out who is the best wide receiver, or who do, Dara with his legions of Green Bay fans. And it came out on a 4-way poll, dead even, 25% for each of the guys, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, and Christian Watson. So they went and obviously drafted Marcus Golden, who you cannot get a first-round pick spent on a wide receiver in Green Bay until this guy. It's like he is supposed to lead that group. So I really want to see a breakout year from the Packers as a whole, and that really does land on the shoulders of the quarterback. Like when we look at what Jordan Love has been through his career, obviously it was the incredible arc that obviously mirrored what had happened with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And then in 2023, he gets off to a shaky start, but then from week 10 on, he's absolute nails, 25 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. They had that absolute stunner over the Cowboys in the wildcard round that really lingered through the 2024 off season that we were really excited to see. But then they get off to that start last year in Rio where he gets injured, and that was blamed on a sort of regression because they're saying, well, he wasn't able to plant right for most of the season, so we didn't get that Jordan Love. Towards the end of the year, then he was able to improve, but then the worst game of the year that he had was the loss in the playoffs to the Philadelphia Eagles. So right now going into the season, of course, there's massive excitement around a player like Jordan Love, but I have to go back to the Super Bowl. We have our notes written out, and in case anyone just jumps on from Green Bay, we have an interview ready to go, and I have in that, how does Jordan Love live up to this contract? Because he didn't last year. Obviously, when he got that, we were super excited. So it's I just picked him up in our fantasy group league. I just picked him up off waivers yesterday. When all is said and done, it's should this team not be seen as an absolute powerhouse the way that the Lions have been seen or the Eagles have been seen the last couple of years, the Chiefs before them? When you're naming all those players, the 49ers have just come from that point of view where they had Debo and they had Ayuk and they had George Kittle on the field at any given time. From Green Bay, we don't feel that right now. They don't have the superstars. Even Josh Jacobs was a bigger name when he was with Vegas than he was with Green Bay last year. So I suppose I just want to see this huge breakout from, I suppose, the offense as a whole, but that really starts and lands on Jordan Love. And I have to say with this game in particular, Aaron Glenn, we wanted to see what he could do, what they could do without him. Obviously, he was able to plug any number of players into any number of positions to get over their injury concerns last year. Let's see how important it is, because obviously they're going in with a new defensive coordinator that has been with the team for the last 5 years. I have his name here somewhere, Calvin Shepard. Obviously, we're going to get used to him this year. It's a big game for him. It's a big game. It's your first time calling the defense.
I think it's really interesting, and just in terms of what Mark mentioned there, it's funny because apparently he's got like 9 quarterbacks in that league. The fantasy league that we do have for people that actually care. Maybe they don't, but shout out to everybody
They
in the
do
league.
not.
€500 man. Serious things at the end of the year if you don't win. I'm only messing, but like it's funny. I've been that busy. We done the draft last week, and shout out to all the boys in the draft. But I just didn't. I haven't looked since. I haven't the time to look. So if you're getting Jordan Love and waivers, fair play to you. I'm also worried for people for people listening to this on the podcast in their car. Brilliant. What's the crack? If you're watching this live, I'm in a hotel. I can literally see the M50 from my window, right? And I don't know if this is going to work the whole stream. The computer's already starting to panic. And shout out to the hotel man that literally looked at me and said, "It's okay, man. Wi-Fi great here. There's an Ethernet port that doesn't work beside me." I don't know. Anyway, let me have a little look at the Packers defense and look. I mean, it's funny you mentioned Derek Harger, Mark, but the obvious thing that we need to talk about, and frankly, if we were a reputable brand, we all would have jumped on a podcast last week and talked about the fact that Micah Parsons, I'm taking the piss by the way, was traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. And frankly, if you've been living under a rock for the last week, that is one of the biggest trades in NFL history. Parsons, across his time with the Cowboys, accumulated 52.5 sacks, and frankly, when he's healthy, he is top 5 in the league. He is, for me, the best defensive player in the league when he's healthy. He led the league, led the NFL in rush and also pressure against the rush over the last 4 seasons. But I think for me, when you add Parsons into, because we do not know at the time of recording if he is going to play on Sunday, how much he's going to play. He probably might be active for that game, but how many times are we going to see him on the field? And it's one thing that Jason talked about, this high power octane offense where yes, the Lions have lost different coordinators and they've lost different situations around the field. They're still the Detroit Lions. They're still going to make it work. They're going to put points up on the board. And I would go as far as saying I expect the Detroit Lions to put up 28 to 35 points in Lambeau Field on Sunday. And that might be a bold prediction or whatever. They've shown over the last 2 or 3 years they can do that. For me, for this Packers defense, a key for them, not just in this game on Sunday, but across the season, is going to be their first half defense. They're a top 6 overall defense from 2024 in regards to first half performance, but they were very hard to crack in the second half of games. They averaged 9 points allowed per game in the second half to 11, so over time they can improve. And when you have the Packers defense led by the likes of Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, that's a different level of dangerousness when you have Micah Parsons. But the reality is, how much is he going to play? When you add somebody like that, yes, it's great, and we have the situation where it's financially it makes sense. Have a little look at the cap space next year, even if they're going to add 25 million onto it. But last season, Green Bay was a very solid pass rushing team with 45 total sacks, despite not having a single player record 8 or more on the year. 8 of the top 10 teams for sacks had at least one. Now with a player on the team like Parsons who has 12 sacks in every season, there's a chance that he could cause beyond the problems that he caused in Dallas, because I think he's going into a roster that's more settled, he's going into a defense that's more settled, and just, I'm conscious as well that when we're talking about Parsons, Devontae Wyatt had a 13.5% pressure rate. For people that aren't aware of that, unlimited snaps last season, that's unreal. In terms of the game this Sunday, I actually have the Lions winning this game this Sunday, which, I know we haven't done picks in a few years, for many different reasons. But, in terms of the Packers, the defense, what they need to do, they need to contain the Lions run game. They need to find a way of stopping that running back tandem. They need to put pressure on Jared Goff. If there's pressure around the fact on how this Lions offense could come out and play this season across the board, well, you're starting the season off in Lambeau with 60 or 70,000 people there going mad for the Packers. Put the pressure on him. The defense is going to be on him. They were highly effective on him last year. 32 of 41 passes for 283 yards and only 3 touchdowns in December. If they can limit him to that, they have a serious chance. And it's when you manage, and this is overall for the Packers defense, not just for this game, but for the whole season, they need to find ways to manage injuries and also manage their depth. They had too many injuries. I think 3 or 4 guys, including Lucas Van Ness, were injured the last time they played Detroit. They need to find a way to stop that, because any team that wants to go far, and that's been the main cornerstone or the main talking point in the league over the last week, is, are they a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Well, if they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender with this defense and this offense. One of the things you talked about, Mark, is Jordan Love and what he's going to live up to this season. They need to find a way to stop teams putting points on the board. If I'm a Packers special teams coordinator, I'm looking at Dan Whelan on Sunday going, this guy is going to be vital for this game. I'm really, really excited for it. And again, just a massive shout out to everybody watching. Loads of comments coming in. Really enjoying it. If I have the Lions, who have you guys got winning this game?
I'm going to stick with the Lions as well. I think you raised a good point there, Mick, about how much Parsons actually will play in this game, because one of his biggest assets as a person that a defensive coordinator can use is how versatile he is. So we know the Lions have got strength at tackle. There's been a bit of turnover at the interior of the line. And what we've seen with Dallas is that Micah Parsons will move from outside to inside. He's going to look for the weakest guy in the line and he's going to pick on him. But Green Bay haven't had a lot of time to work with Micah. I don't know if they'll be able to use him in as many different roles and packages as he was in Dallas. It might just take some time. So I think that is one of the reasons that they won't be as well equipped this week as they might be later in the season. And I'm going to take the Lions.
Who you got, Marky boy?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Green Bay because it's the home fixture, and like I said, like there's a lot of transition with the coaches there. Like I was actually reading comments saying like they're not nervous, and of course that's the thing, but it's still getting used to it. And I think we've all been through multiple changes at head coach with our own teams. That it seems as first 4 weeks, the comments are always, "Oh yeah, actually, do you know what? I was trying to get up to the speed in the preseason, but it's different when it's live bullets in the actual season." And you have to think, like, it puts Green Bay on a massive back foot if they lose that home game straight away to the Detroit Lions within the division. Yeah, what a spicy game to kick us off, though, for real.
Spicy. A bit like my internet connection right now. If you're watching me live, thank you very much.
There are people watching live as well. It's great to see people checking in again. If we could aggregate the comments into one of the social forums, would be fantastic. They come through YouTube, Facebook, some names that I don't even recognize. So pleasure to meet you guys. Great to see you tuning in.
And big thanks to everybody listening to my and Jeff's podcast preview earlier on this week. Loads of people listening in, and you sort of know when you start to see that football is back, baby. I do want to give a shout out to Darren Connell, who done very well at the college game. Very, very well. If you haven't listened to our podcast this week, lads, I learned some names in college football that shouldn't be legal, and that's all I'm going to say. There's a reel coming on that tomorrow. Incredible. There's a guy who has a surname Billity, and like his first name is Ability. Anyway, back to the NFL talk. We're going to make some bold predictions. Can I go first for the crack? Can I?
Please do.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I can't wait to see these boys' reactions. Here is my bold prediction this year. The Denver Broncos will make the AFC Championship game this season. Now, here's the even bigger bold prediction. They finished 10-7, third in the AFC West, and the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos all make the playoffs. The Broncos make a run with Bo Nix. We've seen how good certain players have been over the last couple of years. I really like, and this could be the whole Texas moment again, Mark, year on year, I really like the potential of RJ Harvey in this running back tandem. Like, I understand to get rid of your guy who was previously at Notre Dame. When you got J.K. Dobbins, but RJ Harvey in back, and the speed and the power that he can put on, especially pressured second and third downs with short yardage, is a massive, massive plus for me. I've been impressed with how Garrett Bowles has improved last season, and more so as well, we've talked about it at length last season, what Bo Nix can do, what he done as a rookie, albeit he's like 29 years of age. I know he's not, but he's an old man in regards to this. If he can take a step up this year, this division is going to be crucial. And for anybody that's arguing with themselves in terms of staying up on Friday night and going to bed instead of the Brazil game, it's a massive matchup in the AFC West, because I literally right now cannot call who's going to win that division. Give me the Broncos to play the Bills in the AFC Championship game. Is that bold enough, Mark, or what's your thoughts?
John, actually, I don't think it is, and I'm so appreciative that you brought up that point. No, it's a great one, but I for everything you've said, I completely agree. I would take J.K. Dobbins out. I don't see him being the starter past week 6 or 7. I think that RJ Harvey is going to be absolute nails. When you see what Sean Payton has done with his like early investment in running backs in like when you look to Alvin Kamara, say, it's like I think RJ Harvey, because our draft is now done, I can absolutely say he was my number one on like those later rounds. This guy Dave, whose second name I don't know in our league, he will be not playing next year because he was the boy that was able to get him. No, I completely see it, Michael. Huge excitement, obviously, coming off the back of last year. Their defense could well be the best in the NFL. when all is said and done, and they have so much going for them on offense. Like we know Sean Payne's going to be able to run the ball. Bo Nix is going to be like running around the field, throwing darts. Like, yeah, like considering 1 year ago we came onto this podcast and we were ready to completely tank, and we were saying like, who are the Denver Broncos? Like, obviously Sean Payne had such a bad year with Russell Wilson. It's just crazy to think like how quick he can turn it around. Like we were saying that his legacy was on the line, and now it's like, yeah, Super Bowl contender.
30-1 with SBK, Mark, to get to the Super Bowl at the time of recording. What's your bold prediction, Pat?
Just one. Let me jump in there. Just one question mark for me about the Broncos, and I think I'm kind of just going to dampen the fire a small bit. Maybe it's because I've seen the Broncos get a lot of attention this offseason, which maybe it's the hipster in me trying to prove that maybe they won't be quite so good. That defense was amazing last year in terms of sacks, turnovers. But what we also saw is they were quite volatile. 1 week they play out of their skin. The next week they might dip, and it was up and down at times. On a pair, they were one of the best units in the league, but it was a bit up and down. Bo Nix, he had a fantastic rookie season, but there were still limitations in what he's doing. So I don't think it's automatic that he's going to take next league. He's got the best chance with a guy like Sean Payton, but there are a couple of question marks there that I'd like to see answered.
Ooh. Right, Mark, go on.
Yeah, well, Jason, the year 2 quarterback jump is an absolute given every single year. All right, so we all know that, and RJ Harvey's got me now. So stop your negativity. Is a great point.
Can I just praise Jason? I think his mug looks superb. Hold it up, Jason, for everybody on the camera right now. It's a nice addition to the new studio. It's nice. Anyway.
Pro Football Ireland mug should come, we actually should say, but I might as well shout out the t-shirts now. If you are looking at getting one of our Pro Football Ireland t-shirts, thank you so much for the support. The runaway favourite was the cartoon with the Steelers on the front, with a Pittsburgh-inspired design on the front, and then the Minnesota-looking player. They are not endorsed by the NFL. They are not, official or whatever. Thank you, but you do need to get them in because I really think tomorrow I'm going to have to put up a post saying if you want them for the game, it's right there. Thank you, Michael, for giving me my...
And like, look, just on that, I tweeted that a second ago. Obviously, thanks to Mark for doing that. That's serious work. If I had the Wonga, I would do what people done at Oasis outside Comedy Station, the Houston station. I mean, like, get your t-shirts here, but we can't, like, legally we can't do that. It's too much money. But can I also just publicly thank Mark, because I think this graphics package this season is absolutely unbelievable. Big shout out to Justin, Mark, who asked about playoff teams. We think. Oh, well, we're doing something on that, Justin. We will come back to that, and there's loads of different guys. Go for it, sir. Go for it.
Shout out. No, my bold prediction actually kind of... Again, I said earlier on, we are an Irish podcast, and I wanted to keep it somewhat European-based. So I was kind of thinking about our podcast, what was it, about week 4, week 5 last year, when we were saying that Robert Saleh was just after being fired after the Jets lost to the Minnesota Vikings in London. Doug Peterson was now coming for 2 home games, and we're saying there's no point, or there's no way. Like, what happens if he gets fired after 1 game? Does he still stay in the team hotel? So I would say that we're going to see something similar this year, that 2 teams come to Europe without their head coach or leave without their head coach. So if you actually look, there's a wide net being cast here because there is 11 teams playing in Europe. Obviously, you have the Steelers, Vikings, Browns, Broncos, Jets, Rams, and Jaguars in London and Dublin, of course. But I think when we get to Berlin and to Madrid, that might be where it gets a bit ropey, and that's where I'm plucking these names from. We have Shane Steichen with the Colts. He could be the first one gone. Like, when you see what's after happening with Anthony Richardson. Now, I am on the camp that Anthony Richardson was not the answer there. But if Daniel Jones isn't the answer, it's just going to get messy very fast. Of course, Shane Steichen was brought in to help that. Or, after being in Philadelphia, he was known as the run game. He was going to be really improved. It's not like Jonathan Taylor's been used to the best of his abilities right now. And Anthony Richardson was supposed to get it done on the ground. I just see that getting really messy. It's already gone sour. Like, to think that they had a stronghold on the AFC South only a couple of years ago, and now it is where it is. Like, they're not seen as a contender in any way, shape, or form. They had one of the strongest rosters, and it's not like they had spent through the roof to get there. I think that it's just really come down. I know that was prior to his time, but we've obviously seen Irsay is well able to pull the trigger on something. And then second to that, I think the next week, of course, we have Dan Quinn come with the Washington Commanders. I don't think it'll be him, but the Miami Dolphins Miami Dolphins could be quite messy this year. A bit like the Indianapolis Colts, like they've really just bottomed out very fast. We saw Tyreek Hill requesting a trade this year already. The Tua thing continues to linger, and we don't know how that continues to play out. It's one that we don't like seeing him on the field still. I think the three of us on this podcast. So while Mike McDaniels is an absolutely fantastic play caller, I just think that something's going to give, and it could be that it's going to be just completely freshened up. Now, that's not to say, like, look at Rob Sala. He's gone back to the 49ers now, and there's huge excitement. I think, like, he'd be a monster name for someone next year, but I think he's definitely on the hot seat, and I will put my hand up and say, last year we said he was on the hot seat in week 1, and I think we all said Sean McDermott, and he went on to rebuild the Bills out of nowhere when we thought they were going to have a year off. So I could be completely wrong, but I think that's my bold prediction. 2 of the European teams to lose their head coaches.
I love it. We might have a special guest joining us in a second. Just a heads up. If you see me rambling here in the background, Jason, have you got a bold prediction in the meantime?
Michael, we do not have a way to get a 4th man onto the screen. So kick me or Jason, please, or it's going to look ropey.
Jason, I don't know. One of you boys can be kicked out. I don't know.
I'll step out and refill my teacup if.
If we bring somebody on, come back. Give us your bold prediction. Go for it.
Yeah, I was a bit of a Sam Darnold hater last year, and I felt proven right when he inevitably collapsed in the playoffs. I'm going to keep on that trend, and I'm going to hate on him again. Seems like a nice guy. I don't know why, but 3-year, $100 million contract is what he got from the Seahawks, and there's been this narrative that they lose Geno Smith, they bring in Sam Darnold, it's all the same, nothing's actually going to change. I kind of disagree. I think it's a downgrade. And my bold prediction is that Darnold is ultimately going to be benched midway through this regular season. We know what Kevin O'Connell is like. He's one of the best QB whisperers in the game. Look at what Darnold was like before he got there, and look what he was like under his tutelage. We saw what Cousins was like when he left Kevin O'Connell. But it's not just that. Darnold had Justin Jefferson to work with last year. And if you look at him on the field when Justin Jefferson was not there, his DVOA went from 11.5% to minus 4.6. If you aren't aware what those percentages mean, that's a massive drop. It's from top tier in the league to towards the bottom. Seattle do not have the same weapons to work with as Justin Jefferson. Obviously, DK Metcalf, their lone deep threat, is gone. Those deep balls is where we see Sam Darnold excel. Tyler Lockett's gone. I do love Smith and Jigba, but it's going to be a lot for him and Cup to replace what they had going in Minnesota. And this is probably the final point, is the one that I'm most concerned with. We saw Geno Smith hold up very well against the shaky Seattle, or behind a shaky Seattle offensive line last year. One of the quickest pressure rates in the league. Sam Darnold does not cope well with pressure. We've seen it. The scheme was built to keep him in a clean pocket and get things out quickly. I don't think he's built to stand in this Seattle offense the way Geno Smith was, and I think he's going to be benched.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Folks, do let us know in terms of what Jason, in terms of what Mark, in terms of what I've said about bold predictions. If you agree with, disagree with, let us know on social media. Annoy us. DM Mark and wreck his head. Tell us on Instagram. Tell us everywhere. Tell us the crack. This is the end of the first part. We're back in a little second with a special guest. Jason, I'm going to kick you out. Come back in like 2 seconds, yeah? We're like, just stay in. Stay in. It's all good. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Live right there he is. Does this work? I've kicked Mark out. This is hilarious. There we go. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Yeah? All good?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm just double checking. So we're live, right? Mark, can you hear me? Because all I can see is a black screen.
Boom.
We're good. We're good.
Again.
There we go. We're back in. Thank God for that. We're good. Okay, watch this. This is peak internet effort. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Second part of PFI's Week 1 NFL podcast. Michael McQuaid, Mark Hogan. Jason Hayes is in the doldrums because we haven't got a 3-man or a 4-man setup yet. Delighted to welcome in F.A. Obata. A little clap in the back for F.A. F.A., what's the crack, lad? How you doing?
Let's go.
Having a great crack, mate. How you?
Tell us this. Are you in Ireland right now? What's the crack?
I am. I just flew in today. I'm in Dublin right now. Honestly, I'm loving it. I went down and I had the chicken sandwich that we had the other day. Brilliant. It was
Oh,
amazing.
It lives on the chicken fillet roll for anyone that missed it. How could you? I mean, it blew up, didn't it, Michael, on the social media? FA choices for chicken fillet roll. Every man in Ireland knows what it's about.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
man. But how are you?
Chicken
How are
fillet
you
roll,
guys?
Mark.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's funny
good. I mean, like,
because
sorry, go
Michael,
ahead.
listen, this is how it works though. It's like we've had this insane off season and news keeps on like breaking whether we're talking about like who's playing the Dublin halftime show and stuff. And this is how it works. It's Michael will all of a sudden send me a text being like, I have some news. The text that I just got was FA Obada is about to come on the podcast completely unrehearsed. I love it.
FA, we will not talk too much in terms of why you're over here tomorrow, but there is a flag event. We're very excited to see you. There may or may not be, depending on if Mark goes to the shop in the morning, a taste test tomorrow. So just I'll leave that with you. Don't eat breakfast in the morning, and just look how it's something we sort of joked about it a little bit in New Orleans, and I know you got a picture with the Dublin ball and stuff. But when you get over here, and like for us lads, like this, I know so many people listening to this, watching this game means a massive, massive deal to us. How excited are you for this game in Dublin in a few weeks?
I'm excited. I'm over the moon, honestly. Like I think that there's a lot of history here, with a preseason game that was played quite a long while ago, but this is going to be the official season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and obviously that family that owners. But it's huge. Any form of this game that's changed my life, that I love, that we all love, getting played over here, and having more people exposed to it, and learning about it and being a part of the atmosphere, and just the fanfare and everything that we love about this game is amazing to me, and yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited. I know there's going to be a lot of drinking. So I hope that people, that they are going to go to the game, drink responsibly, but honestly, have a great time.
Hey, Michael, that's the big news that we need to figure out. It's like, is there going to be Guinness in Crow Park or what? Because we know the
Is there
NFL is all
here?
about its Bud Light.
Is there going to be Guinness tonight? More importantly, after this is the question. I think Mark, we'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm safely at home, so I don't know what drinks these are. It's all breaking news to me. But it's funny, FA, because say like I'm thinking of it the other day, and it's like we all know exactly what's going on. Geez, even in my workplace, I just presume when I walked up to someone yesterday and I was like, "Oh, did you see we're after getting a halftime show announced?" It's like it's on the radar of most people, maybe not to the same level of excitement as us. How does it translate when you're in the NFL? Do you wake up and you're like, oh, are you aware that there's the other games and all? Are you aware, oh shit, we were over in London, the NFL was over in London? Will say Patrick Mahomes wake up that Sunday morning and be like, oh, there's a score in from Ireland?
Yeah, initially when I first started playing, no, because it was this separate thing. It was this National Football League. But obviously now it's becoming the International Football League. But no, now I do with all these amazing, like Sky covering it, Channel 5, all these podcasts like yourselves. Everyone just kind of getting involved, and there's so much space for everyone to be a part of this sport. So you just kind of know and for me, in my real life, I'll be on the TV playing games, and my wife's at home watching TV, or I'm getting text messages at halftime from friends in London saying, "Oh yeah, good, good, do this, or hit this guy," but then it's someone else that doesn't even play for the team. But it's just nice that everyone's getting a nice introduction, where from the casual fan to the avid fan to the just the people that just love and support me, I guess. So yeah.
FA, I had the chance to go to the Commanders camp with Neil Reynolds during summer, which was good fun. I won't lie, it was good
Nice.
crack. But I have to say, I know you're not with the Commanders anymore, but whenever we met Dan Quinn, I know he's got the Irish surname, but the man literally looked Irish. But I have to say, for anyone that hasn't met him, what a lovely guy! Like, what was he like in the locker room?
Oh, he's a great guy. He's a player's coach. Very much like allows the veteran guys to lead. He sets a high standard, very military mindset. Believes in hard work, but at the same time balances it out with this new age level of rehab that you need in order to sustain a long NFL career and a season, so that you're good in the post games. And he just came in. He has the backing of the GMs, has the backing of the owners, listens to these players. So yeah, I don't think you're gonna find anyone ever that's got something bad to say about Dan Quinn. From all the previous teams. So even yeah, that he's top notch. He's a good crack.
when you think about, or when I'm thinking about the Commanders now, we're looking. We've just mentioned them. They're going to Madrid obviously this year. If Madrid, Berlin, Dublin, and London, if you pick one of those cities to play in, and look, we don't need your bias. Like, honest to God, man, like, hit me with the city.
So yeah, no, Dublin for sure. I think those other places are amazing destinations in terms of tourism and all these different things and weather and all of that stuff. But in terms of football, in terms of the culture, in terms of having the fans that's gonna love and understand the game, this is where you want to be. This is exactly what you want to be.
FA, just finally, because I feel like we're gonna keep some questions for actually interviewing you tomorrow, which we're looking forward to doing. I can't wait.
And you just pick someone out for me. You might feel a bit left out.
It'll be grand. Jason's a good lad. What I will say is, I obviously with the Commanders, I seen you worked out with the Seahawks recently.
I did.
Are you just keeping busy? Just you're obviously back over here. You're back home training. How are the next few weeks looking for you, man?
So right now, I'm just like, this is the first time that I've not been on a team at this time, but like, I've been doing this for 10 years now, and it's just part of the game. I've been very fortunate and very blessed to have the career that I have. I'm staying healthy, staying in shape. If I do get a call, then I'm ready. But if not, I'm enjoying the time with my family, and I'm enjoying normalcy and real life. And then I get to do a lot of the stuff that I've been kind of postponing in the UK, and then developing the game, being a part of, the mentorship, my foundation, just NFL UK in general, and then just kind of being a fan. I haven't had the ability to kind of watch football and be a fan and be unbiased. I've always had to like film study and focus on my competitors and all these different things. So yeah, it's nice. This game's afforded me a lot, and I'm just enjoying the journey.
Talking about
for
being
anybody
unbiased. Hold on, talking about being unbiased, because I've seen it in the comments right now. It's like, we got to talk then. What are your feelings on Red Zone having some commercials this year? You saw the news earlier on. Scott Hansen confirmed it. What are your feelings?
It's all FA's fault. It's all FA's fault. I'm just blaming it.
Blame me, man. You gotta generate money somehow. But no.
FA, look, I'm actually in a hotel now, so it probably sounds like I'm interrupting you, so I'm really sorry. The Wi-Fi is disgraceful. It's a minor miracle how this has worked. But I will say to you, for anybody listening, for anybody watching, this is the man you meet. This guy doesn't change. This guy is great crack. I hope for your own sake you've brought that Dublin Rebels jersey tomorrow. We're very excited to see you, man.
I've got it in the house somewhere. My wife was like, so I came back with all the jerseys of friends and teammates and all that stuff, and I'm expecting it to go on the wall. She's relegated everything to the shed, so I'm like, oh no, I need to. So it's over there. I'm gonna figure out a way, but yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. FA, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, sir. Bright and breezy. Yes. If you're doing that tonight, hit us up. But here, thanks a million for coming on and for chatting to us as well in front of all these people as well. Chat to you soon, sir. FA Obata, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Nice one.
Nice on it.
He left very quickly there. There we go. Jason's back. Now, before we kick off again, we are on the PFI College. The PFI College? Wow. The PFI NFL podcast presented by SBK Part 2. And Mickey Armagh, who I'm presuming is from Armagh, makes a very good point here. Mickey, halfway through, and no mention of the champs. Eagles back-to-back upwards. Mickey, we are going to talk about different stuff. I'm in a...
Do you know what? You say halfway through, Mickey. I thought we were supposed to be full way through by now. I think we're about a quarter of the way through what we were supposed to get to. Michael starts off our quote-unquote production meeting 5 minutes before, off by 10 lads. It's like 10 minutes to rattle off a load of stuff. Look, the Eagles, when you say back-to-back, my fear, and we probably will talk about this as we finish off the show a bit more, my fear with the Eagles is that they've just won a Super Bowl, and we always see there's some bit of a regression because everyone has just got the ring. Everyone has just pushed hard. Now, don't get me wrong, we talked at the Dublin show with Phoebe at least about how Howie Roseman has been an absolute god at replacing. So when, after the last Super Bowl run, they had new guys, and it's like they lost a lot of defensive starters or whatever. They won't miss a beat in that sense, but they say it's so hard to go back to back to get to the top of the mountain because drive is often the separator when there's supreme talent at those top teams.
That was outrageous there now. We're going to try and do that once a week. Mark, you're being kicked off next week if McAfee or somebody pops on. Jason, sorry about that, man. Thank you very much for waiting on us. Let's just jump straight into one of the biggest games of the week. And just to jump on what Mark said there about Mickey's comment. Mickey, yeah, if we could go through all 32 teams, we would. I think the Eagles are going to be in the NFC Championship game. We will come back to it, I promise. Ravens, Bills, Sunday Night Football. Like, these are clangers of games that we're looking to this week. And Jason, this is the game where if you are working first pip on Monday morning, you're thinking to yourself, oh, Jesus, I might stay up. I believe you're very interested this week in the Ravens offense, which I can't wait to see how Mark Andrews comes back after the end of last season.
Just quickly first, are you and FA like sharing a hotel room or something? Because those curtains are very similar in the background.
Oh, here, Jason, like literally. The only one on this call that knows what just happened right there is Michael McQuaid, because like I did. Sorry, Michael, can you share?
Here's the crack. So FA's over. There's an NFL flag event tomorrow, but here's the crack. So anybody that lives up in Northern Ireland or lives in the UK generally, right? If you go down south, if people start like, and thank you very much, Mickey, for the comment. Really appreciate everyone's support. If you go down south and people ring you from like a UK number, suddenly you lose people's names. It just says 078 or 074. So I'm like, who the hell is ringing me during this podcast? And then I get a text because it doesn't say the name. It's like, oh, FA about it. I'm like, can I jump on? I'm like, oh my God. So here, happy days, class. It's a bit ridiculous that we're in this position in our lives now.
FA Obata watching the podcast saying, can I jump on?
We'll take it.
I just sent a text to Jason Jordan that being like, this is how Radio Row works. And now I hope that everyone that's in the comments there feels what just happens, that people do just jump on and you have to run with it sometimes. But FA, yeah, like you said, Michael, he is such a sound guy and he just comes across on the screen as nice as he is in person.
So what we'll do is, folks, we usually have a headache. We're going to bypass the headache. Producer's decision here. We'll get some questions at the end.
Hold on.
We'll go with this game and we'll go with...
Do you know what? It is funny because just going back to what Mickey had said about are we not mentioning the Eagles? The other thing is the Eagles do start on Thursday, so we are looking to games that are longer in the week, just so that this whole podcast might live a bit longer online. But yeah, this game, getting back to it, I think, Jason, you're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm talking about the offense. There's no real surprises for what I'm going to say, so I won't harp on about it. But this is obviously a historically good offense, and what we saw last year was historically good. Again, I'm going to go back to DVOA. Aaron Schatz is just a genius with this stuff, so I love the metric. Ravens led the league last year in DVOA on offense, and it was actually one of the best ever scores that someone got. Lamar Jackson in particular. Mark, I know you were a Josh Allen guy for the MVP, but I still can't understand how Lamar didn't come away with that award, because from a clean pocket, he was amazing. Over the middle, he was amazing. Under pressure, he was amazing. I'm talking historically good now when I say amazing, in terms of what's been done before. Throw on an extra 1,000 yards rushing on top of that, 40 touchdowns, I don't know what it was, 4 or 5 interceptions. It was just a freakish year we saw from Lamar, and the fact that he didn't get that MVP, I'm sure he's going to take that as a slight and he's going to run with it this year. Part of his success, I almost feel like I'm mimicking what I said about the Lions here, but bringing Derrick Henry on board naturally proved to be a fantastic move for the Ravens. He went for 1,900 yards last year, and what he was doing allowed the Ravens to actually introduce a lot of new things last year into their scheme. More RPOs, options, play actions. You know, we saw Lamar go under center a lot more last year than he did in years past. And a big part of that was because of Derrick Henry. If we want to talk about some things that might have changed, and I don't think there's been much, but look, it's another year for these guys to mature together and build that chemistry. We have Mark Andrews, we have Zay Flowers. DeAndre Hopkins is a new addition on offense. And I know he's not the player he once was, but I think when you combine him with the likes of Flowers or Bateman, two freakishly athletic guys, I think Hopkins fills a nice hole there with some of the underneath stuff, maybe some more intricate slot routes. So I do think it's a nice sneaky addition to the team. In terms of the matchup against the Bills, Mark, I think you're going to talk about the defense, but just quickly, an area that I think Ravens can potentially exploit against the Bills is that run defense. Bills have invested heavily in it this offseason. I think their first 4 or 5 draft picks were defensive players, and a lot of them on the D line. So I could see that potentially growing as the season goes on. But in terms of right now, in terms of first game of the season, I think it's a good time for Ravens to meet this Bills team, because that young unit hasn't a chance to gel. And with the versatility and the experience that this Ravens offense has, I think Bills will have a tough time stopping them, to be honest.
Just in terms of this game, this podcast obviously presented by SBK. Can I remind people, 18 plus, be gamble aware. Folks, that basically means please only gamble what you can afford. We are idiots. Do not take our advice. The Bills are just about favourites for this game, -2 in the handicap at even money. And I'm just going to jump very quickly, Mark, before you harp on as well about this Bills offense, if you don't mind, because frankly, there isn't that much to say outside of the fact that we know how good Josh Allen is. For anybody, again, that's been living under a rock this summer, we all know that Cook is back, undeniably one of the best running backs in the NFL, and he held out. He got what he wanted financially. He got that over the line, and going into this weekend, we're seeing players in the league still not make decisions. At the time of our live recording on a Wednesday night, we still don't know what's happening with Cam Hayward, for example, with the Steelers, if he's going to suit up or not. That'll be a fun podcast to record this week, to not talk about it. I'm excited to do that. Very, very gracious to do that as well. I hope he makes a decision. It's good to meet Cam during the off-season. In 2024, for James Cook, despite playing behind an offensive line that ranked 26th in run blocking, Cook finished 7th among all running backs with 4.9 yards per carry. If you're not sure what that is, that's absolutely ridiculous. The 25-year-old running back in Cook topped 1,000 rushing yards for a second year in a row. And when you're going up against guys like Derrick Henry and Jamar Gibbs on that spot, that's massive. But when you're looking at the Bills generally, and I sort of nerded out a little bit this week, lads, and I'm sorry for any newbies on this podcast. I looked at how their offensive linemen lined up against the Ravens in their game last year in what's known as jumbo sets, and that's a strategy that sort of goes away from traditional defenses by forcing something called a stacked box in their analysis. And this tactic that they use would leverage a double team block to actually create running lanes. And the approach itself, I should put the video on to explain this like I'm Jeff Reinbold or something, but the actual approach from doing that draws safeties into the box, and by doing that, the team that they're playing will have one high safety up. Now, if they can do that this week against the Bills, I'm going to be really, really interested to see, against the Ravens, I'm going to be very, very interested to see how Josh Allen can get that ball down the field, because whenever they'd done that last year, players were way open. I think 2 wideouts were all the way up within about 3 seconds, and there was nobody on them. So, look, I mean, generally for the Bills in this game, we all know they can put points on the board. When you've got Dalton Kincaid, when you've got Khalil Shakir, even though he is questionable going into this game, you know with Josh Allen that it's going to work for you in terms of that there. This is going to be a shootout. This could be one of the games of the season. And Mark, as you generally look at another part of this, both teams, I think it's a huge pity this game's week 1. This game should be throughout the season. It's one of those CBS games at 9 o'clock on a Sunday in November when the fire's on, you're freezing, you can't afford the oil bill because Rush has just done something. I feel like this game should be on at a different point, not at 1:20 in the morning when we all have to go to work, including Mark at 5 o'clock on Monday morning.
You know, though, I am excited. It's like we'll worry about that in week 14 when we're saying, "Oh, there's no quality game this week to talk about. What are we going to do on the podcast?" No, it's funny because when you say when you talk about the run game there, and it's like how obviously that, and I'm not supposed to be talking about this now, but I do want to say how the run game has elevated the offense, that they can dictate terms a lot more. And it's like when you say Dalton Kincaid and then Khalil Shakir, like when you look Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, like the thing about the Bills a lot of other teams could look to is like they don't have the superstar on offense that I have to get AJ Brown the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles or he's going to be pissy or whatever. Like the Bills are able to get it done with the bodies. And Jason, when you say Mark, you were so in on Josh Allen for MVP, and I was like, yeah, no, because it was that. It's like he elevates the whole thing. So no, I am excited. That's where last year I have to completely eat my words because I was so down on them. It's like they did, and that's where I'm contradicting myself because I'm saying why don't the Green Bay Packers have that? I said that in part 1 if you'd missed it, that they have potential superstars but no one's being that guy. The Buffalo Bills for another year, we'd imagine, are going to be able to do it in a different way. But yeah, looking at the defense for this game, and it's like the last time these two played, it would have been in the playoffs, and there was a 60% success rate on the ground for the Ravens, running obviously on the Bills defense. The defense for the Bills had a problem last year. As the year went on, the line just wasn't as good. So it'll be interesting now to see how different it is, because they threw a lot of it in the offseason. They're after getting Joey Bosa, which we know obviously how he plays, Michael Hoy, Larry Ogun, Joby. The problem with them is they are suspended for the first 6 weeks, and I am kind of talking about a broader point here. But second, third, and fourth round picks in the draft all went into the line. The second rounder, TJ Sanders, he's the one that you'll hope hits the most. When you look at the third rounder, Landon Jackson, compared to, say, Joey Bosa, who's so agile, he's a lot stiffer and should be good against the run. And then the defensive tackle, Deion Walker, who they got in the fourth round, 6'6", 345 pounds. Two of the cast that you are listening to right now recently went to the WWE and saw a 250-pound John Cena. So it's like, this lad is 100 pounds bigger than John Cena. He is huge.
Heifer.
Yeah, absolute monster, like 6'6". So it's like, and he's going to be a traditional nose tackle. So you'd hope that they're better at stopping the run. The problem is I don't see them being able to do it in this, their first game. Now, granted, these guys are still all listed as backups. You have Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Ed Oliver, and whatever. The other guys still are ahead of them on the depth chart. So I don't see them stepping up potentially in week one against elite talent, a 21-year-old that's been looking up to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry for the last whatever number of years. I mean, yeah, Lamar's pretty young, hasn't been that long, but like, I don't see them getting it done in year one, but I definitely think it's going to be a learning curve straight off the bat to see, like say they were to have this impressive game. I think it bodes extremely well for the Buffalo Bills.
Following I think it's a bit of a, speaking of the Eagles, seems like the Bills are really following that strategy, doesn't it? Just loading up on the defensive front. We've seen the success it's had in Philly, so maybe it will take some time, but yeah, it's definitely a proven strategy.
Problem here is they're not Georgia Bulldogs, Jason. I mean, that guy that I'm after talking about, he's from Kentucky, so it doesn't quite work the same way versus the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
Big weekend for the Georgia Bulldogs, who won they put about 90 points up. But shout out to Lorcan Quinn, all the Irish lads as well, playing their football last weekend, college football. Amazing to see. I don't want to go through this podcast without at least not mentioning it. It is incredible that a man from my village played against Georgia. Ridiculous at the weekend. Back to it, boys. We've done our bold predictions. We've talked about heifers. Let's talk about teams that we think that didn't make the playoffs last year, potentially make the playoffs this year. Mark, will we try and stick to one after FA completely bombarded this podcast?
No, we will not, because that doesn't round up too well, because you have to talk about both sides of the conference. We can definitely keep it short, though. So we did have a comment earlier on, wasn't it, that who do we see?
Who was it from? I'll find it.
It was it Mickey? Yeah, you can go find it. But basically, as you find it, I'll run through Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston, the LA Chargers, Pittsburgh, and Denver is the AFC side. I can call on the LA Chargers and Pittsburgh if I had to miss out, because every year on average 3 miss out on either side. So we're going to talk about this segment now being like, we're each picking at one team that we say these are the 3 that are going in. So I had to in the AFC. Now I do think the AFC will only see 2 this year, but that's where the beauty of the NFL, a team is going to come from nowhere. We always see it was Washington last year. So if you remember those names, Jason, do you have one off the top that you would agree or disagree with me on?
For not making the playoffs, is it?
Yeah, from the AFC, like if you look at last year, Kansas City, the Bills, Ravens, Texans,
Yeah. Well, why don't I start with who I do think will make it? And this could have went under the bold predictions category, but for the AFC side, I suppose glass half full. Who's going to make it rather than who doesn't make it? I'm going with the Jaguars. And I kind of probably hear the inflection in my voice, the lack of confidence as I said that. This wasn't my first choice, so this wouldn't logically be my first choice of a team who didn't make it, who's going to make it this year. Couple of options were taken ahead of me.
And Jason, I'll actually give the options now because it'll make more sense for the conversation. In the AFC, that would mean that we could have picked between the Bengals, Colts, Dolphins, Jets, Jags, Patriots, Raiders, Browns, and Titans. So I do think there's 2 top heavy that we, Michael and I, will talk about. So yeah, you did get the runt of the litter, really.
Look, it's a long shot, but I'm going to make a case for it anyway. They went 4-13 last year, but there was talent on the roster. I mean, every player had just completely given up under Doug Peterson. We saw them at Wembley. We saw them at Tottenham. The players were dejected. The effort wasn't there. They ranked towards the bottom of the league, especially in defense. Trevor Lawrence stepped back. It was ugly. Couple of things that might make you think they'll bounce back. Firstly, they were unlucky. They were bad last year, definitely, but they were very unlucky along the way as well. They went 3-10 in one-score games, and as you know, those one-score games can flip one way or the other, week in, week out. 10 losses in one-score games is actually the most ever in NFL history. They were also only the second team in NFL history to not have multiple turnovers in one game. Again, looking at turnovers, that's something you might see fluctuate year to year. So the performance wasn't there, but we saw the bounce of the ball go against them as well last year. I don't think they've gotten drastically better this offseason. Like, say, Washington, we saw the leap they took last year after a busy offseason of free agency and drafting. The Jaguars haven't been as busy, but I don't think they were as bad as Washington were the year before. So I think they have a higher starting point. A big boost, obviously, you're going to hear his name mentioned throughout the season, Travis Hunter. I can't wait to watch him. He's going to be electric. It's just been confirmed that he's starting on the depth chart as the second wide receiver, and he's looking like he's going to be a backup at cornerback, at least to begin with. But that's two solid additions there, one on each side of the ball from Travis Hunter. He's going to make a difference. The defense regressed. They were historically bad last year. Hopefully, I don't know why, but hopefully they aren't historically bad this year. It tends to kind of swing back towards average. And their schedule this year is quite easy as well. So the only kind of path, and this came after the predictions from you guys, the only path I could see to a team making the playoffs who didn't make last year was the Jaguars by winning the AFC South and managing to topple Houston. Because I do think Houston have their flaws as well, and some of those flaws we don't know if they've addressed them quite yet, such as that offensive line that we saw last year. So if there is one team I have to go with, it's the Jags, and Houston fall out.
Okay. Mark, I could be short and sweet here, like in a very good way and in a very analytical way, don't worry. Trev's bang on. Trev put a live comment in for people in the car in a podcast. Bengals AFC, Niners NFC, and let's be very clear here for both of them. First off, with both teams, you can say expectation. It's inexcusable if either team doesn't make the playoffs this year. Never mind the fact that the Super Bowl is in Santa Clara. The San Francisco 49ers must perform. I'll come back to them in a second. The Cincinnati Bengals cannot miss the playoffs again. They cannot miss the playoffs again. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow cannot miss the playoffs. They have finished above 500 for 5 straight seasons, and they're the only team to beat the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens in playoff games this decade, with 2 of the guys on the roster that I've just mentioned about. Joe Burrow, I've seen a great tweet this week, Joe Burrow in games week 13 or later, including the playoffs, 71.2% completion percentage, 5,912 passing yards, that's nearly 300 per game, 43 passing touchdowns, and 105.9 passer rating. Mark, if he can just do that, Jason, if he can just do that throughout the season and not just after week 13, they're not going to have a problem. The whole thing in the Niners stems down to, I know we have a load of lads from the Irish faithful, obviously around and outside Ireland as well, watching this, listening to this. I fully expect to see the Niners make the playoffs this year. I'd be honestly stunned to see it. I think we're going to stay to the AFC for now, Mark, are we? We'll come back to the Niners.
Yeah, just because we'll explain because the NFC might be a bit more, so let's not get ahead of ourselves, because I think the 49ers definitely when we talk about. And I suppose I'll circle back for a team that I genuinely think can get in, and I think maybe it's not too surprising, perhaps. The New England Patriots. Straight off, Jason, would you have taken the New England Patriots?
I would have taken them ahead of the Jags, but it's definitely been a hot name. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely try and keep it shorter, as the podcast probably not drags on. I'm having so much fun being back in the seat for a while. But if you just, I quickly try and rattle off, and I think it's still a convincing case. Drake May, obviously, we saw that he was a machine last year. Whether he wants to throw for 20 yards or run for 20 yards, he's definitely one of those elevator quarterbacks. One that we didn't push for last year. We were saying, it's crazy to put him behind the offensive line because it just seemed so crazy when it was such a turnstile. But then they did go out and get 4 new starters on the offensive line, 2 through the free agency and then investing first and third round picks. Obviously, Will Campbell has the whole arm hand issue thing, but we'll see how it goes. But obviously, it's great investment. When you see like the wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, Matt Collins, the run game we saw was massive last year anyway, and that was with Ramondre Stevenson as the lead running back, and then they go and seemingly replace him with Travion Henderson. So I think it's very exciting. And then when you do look at, I suppose they have Mike Vrabel back, kind of running with, last year we saw they wanted to keep with the Patriot way, but now they have a different Patriot way with Mike Vrabel and getting Josh McDaniels back. That if Mike Vrabel will obviously bring that time management and game management to it, can he keep Josh McDaniel in check, which you would hope that he can, if that Patriot way, because Josh McDaniel, he's never proven it without Belichick, but with Belichick, he was obviously class. So can Mike Vrabel channel the Belichick version of McDaniels? And then I'll finally, and this is the most convincing of all, they have the second easiest schedule, including they play the 7 easiest teams, including the Jets twice. Rounding out the rest of them is the Raiders, Panthers, Giants, Browns, Titans, and Saints. If you're sitting here being a supporter of any other team in the NFL other than the San Francisco 49ers, you would absolutely love to have their schedule. They have a 3-game stretch in October against the Titans, Browns, and Saints. Like, I presume they're going to be coming off that looking pretty hot. And if they can't, and then they have the Miami Dolphins as well. I think that's 7, 8, 9. That's some wins. That's 9 wins without having to get out of bed in the morning for the New England Patriots. So I think they should be able to get in. And with a bit of style too.
I agree. Mike Crone, Mike for the live comment, saying he thinks the Niners are the best coaching room since 2019, and he says, can Saleh blend the vets and the rookies? I think it really goes down to, has everybody seen the video this week of Brock Purdy in his cowboy boots? Because if that's not content for the play-on next week, it's literally, have you not seen this? It is sensational.
No,
I have. Right, it's so good. I mean, look, there's obviously going to be a lot of pressure in terms of his new contract, but in terms of how he bounces back from lads, is going to be a massive one. He wasn't terrible last season, but there was a clear regression to an extent in his play style. He almost stopped leaning on easy throws, and I felt like he sort of held the ball for too long trying to make big plays, and it wasn't helping. But now you can hand it back over to CMC again, and I think any NFL fan, whether you're a Niners fan, whether you're a team of any, or whether you're a fan of any team, you want to see CMC do well. I'm really excited to see who I think could be Defensive Rookie of the Year. Michael Williams could be unbelievable, and look, lads, Ricky Pearsall for me is WR1. Straight up in this team. Excited to see them. Niners for me will go far. Very far.
I completely agree, but the only thing that I almost want to go on record as saying is, like, the 49ers are going through a somewhat bit of transition. Like, they haven't had to pay the quarterback up until this year. So it's like they have lost your Deebo Samuels and that. And it's like that offense that was just so like cheat codes everywhere. It's like they do have to play within the boundaries that other teams have to do now. And that is under the cap. So it's like, don't get me wrong, I think Carl Shannon, I absolutely love him as the play caller, and I think he'll find out ways, and I hope CMC stays healthy. But I do think that it still is a bit of a transition kind of how the Bengals just went through, and we saw that, like, it was a little bit more awkward than just, getting the job done. I would absolutely have faith in them getting it done, but they were hit with outrageous injuries and stuff, and hopefully the injury bug, the luck goes their way this year. But I think it's almost automatic, but I don't think it's completely automatic. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk is going to be out for the first while. I think Ricky Pearsall would obviously benefit massively, and he should be very good. You still do have George Kittle, CMC. That's the reason. And the defense is obviously class. Yeah.
Just on that as well, Mark, we had a question from Ryan on Twitter earlier. Do you think 49ers have enough depth at wide receiver to make it to a home Super Bowl? So do you think those injuries are going to impede them? They have enough depth?
See, I loved that they were able to, like I always harp on about the playoffs there 2 years ago when they were able to just, it was quarter by quarter. We'll focus on Deebo now, Brandon now, Kittle now, and CMC now against the it would have been the Chiefs here. I just love that they're, and Ricky Pearsall should be class, but it's not like they've gotten any better, if that makes sense, because they were so good. It's hard to, they had such a high ceiling that it's even if the ceiling only remains the same, it's they have to go back to, the heights they hit were phenomenal. They should have won the Super Bowl. Obviously, it goes to overtime, and then they don't understand the rules because it was the first year of them. They were robbed of that Super Bowl. I still maintain, but it's tough going. And look, last year was the down year. So I hope, because we know the 49ers faithful in Ireland are so strong, I hope they're extremely, extremely competitive this year.
I believe they have a watch party this weekend. Check out Irish Faithful and socials for that as well. Big thanks to everybody for, we never even mentioned, we had a couple of events obviously with Phoebe in Belfast and Dublin a few weeks ago, and just a fun weekend with a college game bring on next year. Let's see if Bill makes it to next year. That's a whole different talking point for a podcast that we probably should have recorded after Monday. Sorry, Dara. Sorry, Connell. Have we time for questions, Mr. Producer?
Well, we have to. Let's go through the rest of the teams in the NFC, because Jason and I obviously still have to go through them. So we've named one. The teams that made the playoffs last year: the Lions, Eagles, Bucks, Rams, Vikings, Commanders, Packers. That leads us to pick between the Seahawks, Falcons, Cardinals, the aforementioned 49ers, Bears, Panthers, Saints, and Giants. Jason, hit me with one quick.
Yeah, so much the same logic. I know what pick you have coming, Mark. Much the same logic that I went with for the Jags here. It was not picking the best team. You know, I would have picked the 49ers. I would have picked your guys' teams ahead of them. I would have picked the Bears ahead of them, the Cowboys, the Seahawks. There's a lot of teams that I think are better than this team, but in terms of realistically having a shot at making the playoffs, I've gone with the Falcons, just because that NFC South is always up for grabs year in, year out. The Bucks have had a hold on it for the past 5 years straight now, I believe. But it's always tight. You know, the Falcons, they have that strong core with Robinson and Algier. It's almost like the Gibbs-Montgomery duo. They've got Drake London broke out last year. I'm always going to throw Kyle Pitt's name in here, whether he deserves it or not. And there's the unknown of Michael Penix to see if he can take the forward to where Kirk Cousins couldn't. One of the main reasons I think they might catch the Bucks is just because the Bucks haven't really gone forward. I mean, that roster amazes me. If you run through it, it's almost the exact same as when they won a Super Bowl on offense and on defense. All those core pieces. Todd Bowles' coach, schemes. It's just so similar, and I just can't understand how it hasn't gone stagnant yet. So my prediction is that the Falcons, well, I'm saying it's my prediction. I don't know if I actually believe this, but the Falcons are going to nip them because of a bit of regression from the Bucks.
Obviously, Kyle Pitts, a TikTok celebrity, if you're down and hip with the kids over the last few weeks. Have we another team to go through, Mark, in the NFC?
Yeah, I've the... who do you think they are, Michael? NFC. We have Jason and me on. I can't do with the dead air. We have the NFC, Arizona Cardinals have not been mentioned all year. And you know, so I need that reaction, right? I need that reaction because I'm picking the Arizona Cardinals. I'm like, I'm going to hear about it from Michael, because we've done this now for over a year, where anytime the Cardinals get mentioned, it's this source of why are we forcing the Cardinals? And you know, I thought about it. It's like, because they are supposed to be taking the next step. Like, it has been a work in progress that they've gone from getting the head coach 3 years ago to looking after the offense 2 years ago and looking after the defense now this off season. So it's like, when we talk about 3 years ago, it's supposed to be this year. If they don't, you might as well strip the whole thing down, because they've been making moves. They've been going with, like, that first year with your new coach. It's like, okay, what bodies do we actually want? What are the character that we want in our locker room? Then they go off and say, whatever, with last year's draft, go off and get your Marvin Harrison Jr.'s. You can see the development with Trey McBride. They're not good enough yet that they're losing too many pieces, although they did lose their running game coordinator, which I do think is going to be massive. But then this year in the off season, they were able to go and target, say, on the defensive line. They went and got veterans like Calais Campbell and Dalvin Thomas in particular, who are in their 30s and are getting old, but they add that locker room presence. To a certain extent, Josh Sweat has done the same. But then Walter Nolan and Will Johnson, in their own right, were both seen as quote-unquote steal in the draft because they came with character concerns. And it's those character concerns that almost excite me. They're saying, we've built the culture, we have the players in place, now we need those guys that are just that bit, harder or tougher, that are going to elevate the teams. We can't keep on playing safe, because safe is going to elevate us. Safe was the first 1 or 2 years of this rebuild. They have to do it now. They have to push for it. And it's like, there was signs there last year. Like, they lost by 1-score games, likes of Buffalo to Detroit or Minnesota. That would have, I know this is a big if, but that translates a team from 8-9 to 11-6. They had the best scoring in the scoring differential and scoring in that NFC West, which is obviously high powered with the Rams and 49ers last year. There are slight signs, but I think it's because they have to get it done, because otherwise they're eternally that 8-9 team that just miss out in the playoffs. They're just the opposite of Mike Tomlin's Steelers. Instead of being 9-8 and sneaking in, they're the 8-9 that always misses out.
Jason, do you want to react to that as a Cardinals fan before we get some questions?
I completely agree, and I think the schedule sets up well for him as well. I saw a lovely bold prediction online that the Cardinals are going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC at the midway point of the season. Because if you look at those opening 7-8 games for Arizona, a couple of tough ones in there, but very winnable. When some of those other bigger teams might be going head to head sooner in the season. So if they get that fast start, please God, they can ride it into the playoffs this year.
And just ride Murray into the playoffs. It's like everyone's saying, "Oh, you have to get rid of him after next year anyway because he either sucks or he's not," which makes no sense. Like, why is he such a hot commodity for every other team except for the Cardinals? It's like, use his legs, do it. Like, if you've been saving him for so many years just to protect, it's like, I think they have to go all out this year. They have all the pieces. This is it. It only gets tougher again from here. So it's like that. This is the year that it's all culminated in.
It's definitely been an interesting night so far. We really enjoyed it.
And welcome to the show, Pat McAfee.
No,
there you go.
I want to give Dermot McLean a big shout out. He DM'd me during the show going, new jersey for the season. There he is. He got his Pats jersey. A couple of comments, and I want to make sure that I get this in. Mark doesn't like to tell people this, but as a proud Kildare man, his cousin, Sean O'Hare, is currently playing for Maryland. I don't believe can I just say, I don't believe Johnstown Bridge is a real place name until I actually go there. I'm going to have to go there. He has just been awarded the Lou Groza Award, Star of the Week in I believe is his division in his first game. So that's Mark, this is getting mad, but we do have questions. And I think Mark is going to be a special guest.
Can I also put in and say he is not my cousin before someone actually believes he is my cousin? We share pride in the great county of Kildare.
And do you know what? It's class to see him doing really well. For anyone that just want to get the questions up here, for anybody that is interested in that, Sean started at maybe like a D2 school last year, I believe it was, or a D1 school. I think it was D2 school, and he's kicked his ass off. And lads, he could be very special. Probably the biggest export for Kildare in a very long time. I said McGeaney. I put a poll out this morning. Here's one thing. Look, we don't need reactions. It's just for people just see the reaction. Here's the one thing I'd love to know from you. Do you think we'll see a Dublin game each year after September? 70% said yes, 30% said no. Ian Mulligan. Well, lads, best of luck for the upcoming season. Gurmaghan, any idea when we can expect the result of the Hill ticket ballot? And God help everybody, because in the last 5 minutes, John White on X, hi Michael, any idea when the Hill 16 ballot results will be released? Mark, without getting me in trouble from a professional viewpoint, have you any idea when that's going to be? Or?
It said in the email the 9th of September. It's all we can go by. Like I said at the start of the show, it's something that we've kind of asked about, and it's like we haven't quite gotten as many answers on that question as maybe we would have on others for other people. So it's the 9th of September. I know that it's a week away. It's kind of frustrating, whatever. I would hope that it's in before then. That's all we can go on.
We'll see the crack. Shamrock Titans, big shout out to you, my friend. I'm giving you a follow on X right now. How soon before the Titans get a game in Ireland, especially with the new international marketing rights? And Mark, Mark and Jason, I think it's a really good question, because over the summer, and the one thing that has happened before you boys popped on another podcast again post New Orleans, well, hey, the Titans and the Packers and the Chiefs, especially those three teams, have come into the market for both Republic of Ireland and, importantly as well, for Northern Ireland. I believe the Titans might just be Republic only, but the other two are definitely Island of Ireland. Look, from a fan viewpoint, first and foremost, I certainly believe we'll have games here every year. I think Dublin's going to be the best game ever. I think it's going to be the biggest weekend ever for the league. Obviously, they're in Brazil this weekend. Mark and Jason, we see the Packers. And shout out to Steve Diddy from the UK and Irish Packers. He's going to be emceeing this. The Green Bay Packers have a full-on bar on the Saturday night of the Dublin game. I'm getting excited reading something like that. So shout out to Steve. He deserves to do that as well.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because we can talk about it then. I would still see the Titans as an opponent team, because they haven't activated in the market the way that other teams have. Like, I was actually just on my phone there seeing, have they stood up a Titans Ireland Twitter, Instagram account? I don't see that they have. The Chiefs have started up one. Now, disappointingly, I'll say it is Chiefs UK. It is a new account. They could have gone for Chiefs UK, and I, personally speaking, but that represents us and the UK market. The Titans, like I said, if they're not activated in the Northern Ireland market, they haven't started up the Titans Ireland yet. So I do, like, we've obviously, and we're so fortunate, the three of us have gotten to know people from the Steelers that come over the whole time. We obviously have an Irishman, Greg Johnson, doing fantastic work. There's boots in the ground for other teams is what I'm trying to say, whereas I haven't seen it yet for the Titans. Like, we've seen the Jets do the watch parties, we've seen the Jags try and do stuff, and the Titans probably need to display a bit more over the next few months to say that they're going to just, they're not just going to show up cold.
Whenever the Titans follow me on Twitter, true story, Jason, I nearly had a heart attack. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? It is the Republic only. How do we get the Titans up north? Jason,
why not? Let's just bring them down to Cork. Cork is here. Forget about Dublin. That 30% in the poll who said no to Dublin 26, they're from Cork. They want Cork 26. And look, we saw Hoggy. Mick, you were having a grand chat with Hoggy. He wants a game down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Let's make it happen. Let's get greedy. Let's get more games.
I'm not going to lie to you. Thank God he said that, because that's just done for Instagram. Lovely man. I know you boys have had a hard summer. I've had a hard summer. The Open was up here, lads. Can I just actually say very quickly, I'm going to put some questions on the screen. Can I just thank the amount of people that listened to this podcast that stopped us at the Open was an absolute disgrace, including the man that worked at the counter selling bacon rolls. Thank you, folks. It really, really means a lot. Jonathan Santiago, best name I've heard so far. Definitely from Wexford. Or from Wicklow or somewhere. What's up, fellas? Need help picking a flex between Jamison Williams, Calvin Ridley, or Isaiah Pacheco full PPR? PPR. Go give me Isaiah Pacheco for the crack. Why not?
That is a tough flex option. That must be a 12. That must be a 12-man league. I would have to say Jamison Williams. So we've actually split 3 different ways, even though I'm heavily invested in the Lions for myself.
Shout out to Trevor saying, great to see you back. New season can't wait. Thank you very, very much, Trevor. I know Keith watches every week. It will end on Keith's question here, but he said, good evening all. New season, looking forward to Dublin, Madrid. I believe Keith may be staying in the same hotel I am in Madrid, which I'm very excited for. Trez excited is French, so I'm going to move on.
I did see another interesting. That's the one right there about the offensive or defensive rookies. I think that's a really fascinating question.
Yeah, and just on Keith, while I remember this, lads, I am telling you about this game in the Bernabeu is going to be absolutely, lads, that stadium, I went during the summer, it's an absolute disgrace. It must have cost a couple of million. It's class. Anyway, back to
it.
Your
use of disgrace always gets me. You're the only one that uses disgrace in the good sense of the word. Like, I never get
offensive, defensive rookies of the year. I like Matthew Golden with the Packers for offensive.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because, like, Ashton Genty is going to be obviously one of the favorites because there's no quarterback. I mean, obviously Cam Ward. I mean, it obviously always goes to the quarterback, right? But it's like Ashton Genty, I think, could be fantastic with Pete Carroll. We've obviously seen what Pete Carroll did with Marshawn Lynch and with other running backs as well. So I think Ashton Genty is the absolutely obvious one. Jason obviously was saying that he's not impressed with the Bucks. I think they're really smart pick. Everyone's saying this, the wide receiver that they're able to draft. Marcus Golden, like I was talking about at the very, 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 over an hour ago, definitely with the Green Bay Packers, I think he can step up. It's going to be one of those sexier names, isn't it?
Did I say Matthew Golden? Because it's been 90 minutes. Did I say Matthew Golden?
No, you said
Marcus.
You said sorry. Sorry, we're talking about the same guy. Oh no, 100%, because I was going to be confused by you.
Jason, give us a defensive name and we'll get off. It's been 90 minutes. We're all racked.
I'll give you a defensive and an offensive name. Travis Hunter. Oh. He's going to win both. Go for it.
I wonder will the thing with him be that if the Jags are just like not a great team, the story will be completely lost. Because like I'm not tuning in to watch the Jags from a fun point of view if they're getting they're losing by 15 points week to week.
Well, they could bring back Louis Rees-Zammit during the year potentially. So we'll
know he's heavily invested with the Welsh squad again, is he? I actually haven't. I always seen well. I haven't tracked.
Best of luck to LRZ. Gary McGurk as we finish off. Cam Ward, offensive rookie of the year. That's a hell of a statement there. Just before we go, just to remind people that we are presented by SBK, and we said it at the start, folks. Very, very picky in terms of who we work with. If you don't know SBK, they are a betting brand, but quite frankly, behind the ball. No casino, no roulette, sports only. That's what we're about. It was for sports fans and some of the best odds around. To celebrate the return of the NFL season, they're offering a free NFL bet builder every Sunday in September. We're going to put that up on Sunday on our socials, especially on Twitter. Check out the link in the bio for more information. And folks, do check out the tweet that we're going to have in this bio for this podcast. It's a link to a giveaway for an NFL jersey. All you gotta do, if you click the link, I think in the north anyway, it's bet 10 sterling, get €40 in free bets on selected odds. T's and C's apply, obviously. And I believe in the south, correct me if I'm wrong, it might not be, €10 gets €50 in free bets. If you're down in the 26, lads, you're laughing there. Odds are good. The reality is it makes a huge difference to us. We're trying to build a community, and frankly, from meeting these guys over the summer, they are trying to build a community as well, and I think it's very, very important. A massive, massive thanks to Mark Hogan, to Jason Hayes. I believe Mark has to get up for working 3 hours, so we probably will go. We'll talk about that lovely moment in the Aviva at a different point, Mark, on the live stream. Looking forward to tomorrow. Loads of content coming out for the weekend. Jeff and me make week 1 selections on Friday, which is going to be a video and also a podcast. The other lads are back. Connor Jacob back Monday morning football. I'm off it this year. I'm done. I'm wrecked. I have too much going on. But thank you for them for doing that. Me and Jeff are on twice a week. College football podcast drops every Wednesday. And I guess before we go, lads, one word answer. Who's going to win between Michigan and Oklahoma this weekend? I'm saying Michigan by 7 points. Let's for the crack. Pick it. Go. Who you got, Mark?
Michigan.
Jason, say Oklahoma.
Shake it up.
There we go.
Michael,
Superb.
I suppose we have not said. I mean, it's our week 1. Do we want to give quick predictions for Super Bowls? I mean, it's
yes,
it's whatever.
Let's do it.
We haven't done.
Let's do it.
I suppose I want to say that the Bills really push this year and get there. And you know what? I'm kind of flip flopping between a number of teams, but I might as well just say it on this one. I think I'm going to go Packers for all the reasons listed earlier. They've such potential, and if they hit it, they could go.
Just big thanks to everybody that reads my RT article, getting the violins out, going Neil Reynolds style here. Like, thank you, folks. They have brought me back on for another year. And they also stupidly asked me yesterday for my picks for the season. Give me the Detroit Lions for the NFC Championship. Give me the Buffalo Bills for the AFC Championship. And folks, I feel like I picked the Lions. I should know this. I can't remember. But in the next 30 seconds, you're going to find out whenever Jason...
I thought you talked about the Irishman on the team, no?
So I picked the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl of RTE. There you go. Jason, take us home.
I just want change. I really want change. I'd love to just see a new team win it this year. Give me the Ravens.
I love it. Hopefully we'll all be there talking about the 2026 NFL Dublin game. We'll see what happens. We are live every Wednesday from week 1 to week 3 at 9 p.m. Ireland time. You can obviously catch up on the podcasts every Thursday morning from about 3 a.m. That'll be online. And hoping for something special week 4. On that note, good night. God bless you.